Why would you trust this man? So today I'm going to give a handful of reasons of why you shouldn't trust the person sitting across the table from you in a police interview room. I'm going to run through this quite quickly. So I've been in a police interview room a handful of times. I was arrested, and you can see the other videos about my story. But these are the reasons why I don't think you should trust the person sitting opposite you. Firstly, they're ambitious. They're not here to help you. They're here to deliver a result for the case. Secondly, they can be perfectly nice. The detective that arrested me was perfectly nice and polite, but I was warned by the solicitor that she was very ambitious. She would use me as a notch on her career post. His words. Don't confuse them with the fictional detectives, the soft, nice, fluffy fictional detectives who are out to find the truth of the matter. Next, they're not the brightest, they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. Now, I'm going to do a variety of videos on some of these aspects and dive into a bit more detail, but here's one. So this is, police are called barely literate by lawyers. And I came across this in my police interview. So again, if you're being interviewed, you cannot assume these are the bright people who are going to dig deep into the case and find out what really was going on. Which leads me on to the next point. They're not accurate in the paperwork. So when I was dealing with all the paperwork that came from the police, there were numerous typos and errors on each and every page. They got the name, the spelling of even their own police officers wrong. And here's an article about one chap's life who was nearly ruined by a typo. Again, I'm going to do this in another video. But remember, you're putting your life on the line, your whole livelihood on the line, and it could be ruined by a typo by somebody who's not particularly bright. Remember, the person sitting opposite you is working to hit targets and create the right statistics for the people he works for. So here, a few articles here. BBC News, crime statistics are manipulated, says the police chief. Police force tricks to fiddle crime figures, and this involves cuffing, stitching, skewing and nodding. I'll deal with this in detail in another video. And here's another chief constable saying police manipulate crime figures because of pressure from senior figures. So bear in mind that the person, again, sitting opposite you is working to hit targets. Also, the person sitting opposite you will be manipulating evidence and being selective in the evidence. Here's a case. Prosecutors slow down CCTV in case of commuter cleared of bizarre assault on an actress. Again, I'll go through that in another video. And again, quite a well-known example in recent years. Here, the police prevent the disclosure of information and evidence that will clear you. This was the case of Liam Allen. So the title of the news item, I've been betrayed, innocent student's 2-year rape hell after cops withheld evidence that cleared him. And prosecutor slams sheer incompetence of police who deemed victim's text fantasizing about violent blah blah too personal to use as evidence as the student she accused is cleared. So again, this is quite common. In my case, the police were actively withholding evidence from me. We were trying to get them to disclose all sorts of information and the intelligence that triggered the investigation, but we never got it. But as you'll see in other videos, and if you've read the books, then you'll know, I believe it all stemmed from the housemate that I had trouble with. So again, why would you trust this person? You might think the person sitting opposite you will only prosecute or follow through on a prosecution if it's in the public interest and if there's lots of evidence, but the police will prosecute cases needlessly. Here are a couple of examples. A teen prosecuted as an adult for having images of himself on his own phone. Also, a widow faces jail for possession of late husband's illegal pistol after it was stolen during a burglary. So again, why would you trust this person? And why would you trust the system? So here's a case. Teenage girl fails to get grandfather's conviction for abusing her overturned as judges rule her evidence is still believable. You have somebody who's withdrawing their testimony, but again, you get locked into the system. So this agent of state knows this, doesn't care, so why would you trust him or her? And all this feeds into the narrative that you will be on the wrong side of the law because you have this agent of state sitting on the other side of the table, and your mental health will suffer as you endure months, if not years, of trouble. You can lose control of your whole livelihood, of your whole life, in fact, if you trust this person sitting across the table from you. So you need to be very cynical. And remember, the police and the investigating authorities, they all have unlimited resources and you have very little. So when I was arrested, they had all the resources. I think I met 9 officers dealing with my case, and it was just little old me who was trying to pick my way through all the legal shenanigans with the help of a solicitor that I had to pay, and I was taking out bank loans and so on to do it. So remember, it's all stacked against you, so you need to be very cynical about the person who's sitting opposite you. You should not trust necessarily the person who's investigating and who's sitting across the table, the agent of state. I'm going to go into more detail on some of these items, so I flashed up some of the newspaper articles. I'll go through those in more details in other videos, but I thought this would be a useful summary. This was partly inspired by some of the comments I had on some of the other videos. Some were a bit more forgiving of the police and a police interview situation, but I think you need to protect your interests because they do not have your interests at heart at all. Okay, great, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe and check out the other videos. If you want to support me, that would be a great help and much appreciated. You can buy me a coffee, follow the link in the description, or you can even check out the books, Mad as Hell Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 is the 899 days on bail before I was charged, and then Part 2 is the 7 months of the trial preparation before the case against me was dropped. The ebook and paperback is available on Amazon. Search for Mad as Hell by David M. Anderson, and you could probably go into a bookshop and they could order it from their systems as well. And of course, if you or a loved one are experiencing legal troubles yourself, I hope you found this channel and video useful, and the very best of luck. Thanks.